And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Asam T, who writes, "Greetings and salutations, John. On today's companion video, you talked about, well, of course, Kimberly and I did a companion video last night, so that's probably what I was talking about. On today's companion video, you talked about looking forward to the coming Uncharted movie. Did you see the first official image they put out? Don't get me wrong, I think it looks great, but seeing Wahlberg as Sully throws me off a little because I'm very used to seeing him as older. No complaints about Tom's look, though. What do you think?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, Uncharted is a movie we've been talking about for a while. And by a while, I don't mean a few months. I mean 6, 7, 8 years. We've been talking about this. Now, a lot of people forget that they had, I think, 3 or 4 different directors signed up at different times to direct this thing. Mark Wahlberg was signed on for years to play Nathan in these movies. Then, of course, you know, they lost director after director. They could never really find their footing. Then it gets up running. Tom Holland is going to be Nathan, and Mark Wahlberg has slid over into the role of Sully, which I think it's cool that he's staying on the project. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at IGN, who writes, "Development of an Uncharted film has been underway since 2008, when producer Avi Arad first began working with Sony to bring the games to life on the big screen. After languishing for years with a number of directors and screenwriters coming and going, including David O. Russell, Neil Berger, Seth Gordon, Sean Levy." Listen to this list: David O. Russell, Neil Berger, Seth Gordon, Sean Levy, and Dan Trachtenberg, and Travis Knight, the director of Bumblebee. The movie eventually landed with Ruben Fleischer. Wahlberg, who was previously cast as Drake, would then be shifted to take on the part of Sully, while the current Spider-Man star signed on for the central role in early 2017. And yes, we do now have our first, we've had some set photos, Rob, before, but this is the first kind of official look at it. And I gotta say, Ahmad, I think it was who wrote in the question, I do get what he's saying. When I look at Mark Wahlberg, I do have to admit, I don't think Sully. I think Sully, Stephen Lang from Avatar and from Don't Make a Sound, or whatever the name of that movie was, where he was the blind killer guy. Stephen Lang, I thought for a long time would have been a great Sully. And correct me if I'm wrong, was Stephen Lang not Sully in that Nathan Fillion fan film of Uncharted?
I believe he was. Yeah, so he would have been great for it. But then again, I love Mark Wahlberg. He's great, whatever. And I think Tom Holland, I've said for a long time, I think Tom Holland is going to be a great Nathan Drake. He is, even in movies that have been bad, and he's been in a couple of questionable movies lately, Rob, but he always brings a great performance. I mean, without reservation, without exception, Tom Holland always brings a great performance. So I expect he'll be great. And Rob, again, the key thing is they went and got a guy in Tom Holland who can be Nathan Drake for the next 10, 12, 15 years without skipping a beat. And who knows, maybe my little bit of hesitation looking at Mark Wahlberg, because I just see Sully as being older. So I agree with the person who wrote in the letter, but Mark Wahlberg, getting him at this age means we could have our Sully for the next 10, 12, 15 years. Because Wahlberg can age into this role even better. So listen, I like the first look. It's just an image. It doesn't really mean the movie's going to be good or bad. But I like the image. I remain optimistic about this movie. I like what I'm seeing. I like how they set themselves up for it. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to take a look at this image. What are you thinking about Uncharted right now? Well, I mean, to be honest, I have great big love for the Uncharted franchise. It was the first video game I ever played all the way through from beginning to end, and I really felt that it was the dawn of a new era when video games and movies, I mean, I was just as intrigued by the characters and the story. I was so immersed in the Uncharted game, and I love the characterizations and everything. It really felt fully realized. So I'm really excited about this movie. But I do feel that both Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg were sort of miscast. I like the idea that, you can't help but think this is a riff on Indiana Jones. So I always saw Nathan Drake as somebody in their early 30s, and Sully was in maybe mid to late 50s. And while I understand why they went, and Mark Wahlberg is not far away from that, but he just looks young, But looking at this, I can see why they went in that direction.
And I really like Tom Holland. And when Mark Wahlberg is on, he's really on.
Yeah.
And I really like Tom Holland as an actor. So I'm excited for this franchise. Really, it's going to come down to, for me particularly, the screenplay and the execution. It's all going to be in that.
Yeah. No, as it will with everything, and we'll just see how it goes. All right.